I told y'all once this thing got announced, the bad actors, the dirty, grimy folks were going to be dirty and grimy. It was anticipated. It was expected. And I think the people that follow me, many of you guys knew, but a lot of you guys that see me on the various forms of social media, you see how that kind of looks. I think what it does is it speaks to a point that I have been making for so many years. And it's that the old guard, they're going to be as protective as they possibly can of that, because they know that their power, what got them off, is something that is threatened. So they are always going to try to minimize what it is that we do. Always. They'll always try to minimize what it is that we do. And there's no form of success that we'll ever be able to see that will suffice for really anything it is that to their liking. It's just not, that's not how they operate. They're haters, literal haters, where they are going to nitpick every single thing. They're going to comb through it, and they're certainly welcome to do that. But they do not want this to be successful. They're going to hate. They're going to be dirty. They're going to be grimy. It's just what it is, and it's something that I've certainly always anticipated. But before we kind of get going on that, which we are, I want to show you guys something real quick. So let me see if I can pull this up here. Can you guys see that perfectly? I know we got a kind of a new setup, so you guys can see it. All right, so this guy is one of my reply guys. He replies to a lot of my posts. Hate watching. That's what he does. It's certainly nothing new. So, of course, Geeks and Gamers team, they have talked about the book, or rather the company launching the trailer and all of that stuff. And this guy had this to say: "This feels like another Comicsgate scan. The fandom menace will probably just laugh all the way to the bank, and the first issue will take years longer than expected to get published." Now, this is a guy. Now think about that. Think about that statement. Now, anybody that's followed me consistently knows where I'm about to go with this. If you watch my work, you've heard me talk about this in my show. But also, if you just simply watch the promotional stuff, the trailers and everything, the answer to this has already been given. Okay? So think about that. This goes to show how much these guys are that's just what happens, man. Hate watch is hate watch. For starters, with that, to that guy's point, the book's already done. It's already done. It's not being worked on. It is already done. It's ready to be released. The only thing we're waiting for, the prints themselves, they get here in the middle of July. And as I mentioned, August, the beginning of August, maybe even the end of July, we're already shipping products, fulfillment. All the other items that are associated with the campaign, we already got them. They're in the warehouse, ready to be packed and start fulfilling those orders. So if this person actually listened to what it was that I was saying, well, they'd know that. And I responded. I said, the book's already done, so your feels are incorrect. So he immediately moves to this. He says, still, it's not going to compete with bigger name brands. Okay, so there was never actually a concession. It was more of, all right, I was wrong about this statement, as in him. So he's like, I was wrong about this statement. I am now going to shift to a completely different non-argument. And that is that guy who started company with his own money on his own accord is not going to be able to compete with brands that have been around longer than I have been alive. It's an unrealistic expectation, of course. However, nothing starts overnight. You'll be surprised how accelerated these things are. We went over the numbers yesterday. The top selling book, and it was by far too, graphic novel, which remember those stats that we were looking at, and they consider graphic novels just really anything that's big with a spine. It was only 24,000 copies. Y'all do understand that. Not that. I just want to throw that out there. However, he moves immediately and shifts to another non-argument. But this is the hilarious part of this. Also, since it seems to star a black man, wouldn't that make it woke? Kind of defeats its own purpose if it does. Oh boy, that's really insulting to a lot of black people out there that are probably watching this and seeing what you said. They do not like the fact that their arguments have been completely diffused. Now, of course, you and I know that's never been an argument that anybody has ever made. Not myself, certainly, and not anybody that we generally talk with or chat with about various topics. The point has never been black person being in thing equals woke. See, that was the argument that you needed to be true. That's the difference. You needed those arguments to be true. This is why it's the same thing with the female characters as well. You needed us to basically believe that the existence of a female character, despite this being antithetical to what we've already said, but the existence of a female character somehow equals being woke. That was never an argument that I certainly made, and I know folks that you guys like to often associate with me have never made. There's plenty of female characters that they like, plenty of black characters that they like, and you do not own, first of all, black people. Let's get that out the way. No matter how much leftists like to think that they do. But you've never listened to what it was that we said. And what this is a coping mechanism. I'm not y'all's therapist, but we're going to go through this real quick. The hate watchers is who I'm talking about and talking to. What you are doing is watching your non-arguments be diffused in real time. And you're flailing and you don't know how to act because of it. I already knew what this was. I knew that this was something that you guys were always afraid of. It was one thing for people to just commentate and speak about certain things or the standards that the industry has right now. But it was another thing for one of us to say, you know what? I am going to put my money where my mouth is, and I am going to be a creative in this space. That was what you were always afraid to do, because what happens is it's tangible and you get to see the enthusiasm that other people have. You get to see the dollars roll in. You get to see something start from the ground up from the people that you have refused to listen to, you've deemed as your ideological enemies, especially your political enemies. And what you're seeing is your arguments, your positions that you have, and that all that be slander and defamation, all that stuff that you've participated in. You're watching that be diffused in real time, and you don't know how to act. I would encourage you, and I'm saying this sincerely, I'm not even being snarky. Get that hatred out your heart, because what's going to happen is you're going to be left looking stupid. I get it. You don't want us to be successful. I understand that. You don't like us. You don't like me in particular. I get that. However, don't let that hatred make you or have you making an ass out of yourself, which is effectively what you all are doing. You're making asses out of yourself because you're so committed to a narrative that was never true in the first place. And now you're going to see something tangible grow, and that those non-arguments that you had being diffused. You thought people had a problem with female characters. This is why I continue to say, we'll show you how it's done. As people learn more about this guy behind me, as people learn more about that lady behind me, you'll see what it was that certainly I've been talking about for years. And you're watching that real time happen. It's starting to sink in, and you don't know how to act. Now, I get it. You're probably not going to listen to me. You don't like me enough to do that. That's fine. Just understand what the consequences are going to be with that. And that is you having to watch myself and others that will inevitably do it and have done it succeed. And there's absolutely nothing that you can do to stop it. You can write your hit pieces. You can sit here and tweet with the bots that you have that said accounts, and those handful of the same group of weirdos who attempt to try to ratio people on Twitter. All of that stuff is a completely ineffective thing. And at best, we can monetize you. It turns into the Streisand effect. It was like that guy yesterday who posts like an hour after the fact, an hour after the, like, no, not hour, hours after the fact. I did like so many streams that day when it got to that point. And he said something about, because I said it was within an hour. I think it was like 45 minutes until, like, since I had launched it. If it was even that, it was like more closer to 30. We'd already had over 1,000 signups on the website on Riververse.com. And he said something along the lines of, well, that's nothing. 1,000 is nothing if a company like massive mega corporation with, I don't know, billions of dollars like a Disney did that, mainstream did that, you guys would be laughing about it. And so I quote tweeted it, of course. And I was like, first of all, that was hours ago. Now we're on, closing in on 10,000. And we ended the day with over 10,000, by the way. We're at 14,000 as of the time I'm recording this. And we're just now hitting a full day. Yeah. So you saw how it grew. But that created a Streisand effect because, like, the minute I posted that, so many people looked at you and said, what is this? Or tweet said, what was this about? Now I want to look into it. They looked into it and they become signups. It's not an effective thing to do. And I think compared to, and I'm being serious about this again, I think compared to a lot of other creatives that are in this space, I keep things pretty tame because I don't go talk about every single thing. I never felt that I had to do that. I've always stuck in my lane and stuff. I don't, even if when it comes to some of the people that you deem as my colleagues, people that I'm friends with in this space or whatever, but understand this is not my first creative project for you weirdos. Everything that I've ever said that I was going to do, I committed to it. I went and did it. And I went and did it to the best of my abilities. And I went and did it as efficiently as I possibly could. And I reaped the benefits because the last person, if I were you, that I'd bet against would be me. We're probably going to make, we are going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars. EVS predicted we were going to make 2.5 million or something crazy like that. If we did something like that, that'd be unreal. But we're going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars minimum, Lord willing, we cross into the $1 million mark over the next 75 days or whatever. And there's nothing that you can do to stop that. Nothing. However, we know what you're going to do. It's obvious. I could make 2.5 million. All you do is say, well, that's not as successful as what Marvel made with their billions of dollars, because you're immediately trying to compare us to that old guard that you are so protective of, the same old guard that doesn't pay their creators hardly anything. I pay them better. I pay Marvel and DC's guys. You'll have some more information as the books and stuff release and you see who's a part of the project. I've given better deals as an completely separate, not tied to a mega corporation, with my own money. I have paid artists what they are actually deserving of, which is more than what the old guard that you're trying to be so protective of does. We're just getting started. I'm a young man. We are just getting started. I'm telling you, I'd get that hatred out your heart because you're going to be left with the eat ass face.